And this is what I was just talking about. Spamalot. Oh my, oh my, oh my. I just loved your King Arthur. So
I had so much fun.
Such a fun show.
That the Patsy down there that I'm sitting on his back, that's Brad Bradley, who's just gone into Billy Elliot on Broadway. Yeah, he's doing well. And no, that show was so much fun to do. I can't begin to tell you. It was, the audience loves it.
Oh, yeah, you can't help it. Laugh from beginning to end.
Yes, yes.
It's,
and I wasn't really a Monty Python fan.
No.
So, you know, I didn't dislike it. I hadn't followed it that much. And so to get into it head first as King Arthur was really fun.
I mean, they happen to be crazy. I don't think they'd mind my telling you that. Anyway, this group that does all that, but I was lucky enough to do a film called Whoops Apocalypse. And that tells you already, you know, from the title. And Loretta Swit played the President of the United States. I don't have to tell you anymore. And I couldn't stop laughing as I was performing, because they do these, but it's wonderful to work with. It's so much fun.
It's fantastic.
Now, you did a play, you toured with Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what this is that I have here?
That is backstage at the Amundsen Theater in Los Angeles. The incredible thing about this place, it's back in about '85.
Yes.
James Kirkwood,
yes,
wrote it. He had already won, I think, a Pulitzer Prize for writing a chorus line. Yes, and his conceit was that chorus line was about people at the beginning of their careers, trying to have a career, getting started in New York theater.
Perfect.
Now, he wrote years later this play called Legends that was about people who had had careers and perhaps at the end of their career, things weren't going so well. So what did they do with their lives? How does that play out? That was his idea. Well, he wrote a nice little comedy, and then all of a sudden someone has the idea, you know, Mary Martin has been retired for years. Wouldn't it be great if she could play the role of Leatrice? Let's see if we can talk her into it. What they did is they got Larry Hagman, her son, to talk her into it. And of course, Carol Channing came on board. Well, so this little comedy became this incredible thing,
about the Legends,
traveling around the country with two of the biggest Broadway stars of the 20th century. It never really, critically, it didn't do well at all.
No.
No. The audiences, the ladies loved it.
Sure, I'd be one of them.
Yeah, they loved it.
It played Parker Playhouse.
That's right.
And here, I saw it there. I want to bring it up again because in addition to you and Mary Martin and Carol Channing.
That's a 38-year-old me. And at this end is Carol Channing in a brown wig.
Love her.
And the lady in the middle is Helen Hayes.
Helen Hayes.
Yeah, who visited us backstage.
What an honor just to have a picture taken
It
with
really,
her.
you know, that's how I feel, actually.
You know, it's, and of course, Sardi's is the place after a show, before a show to go. And being on their wall is an honor. Oh, my goodness.
I brought that for you, Iris.
Oh, thank you. I keep it. I'll put it on my wall. Let me tell you, I can tell you a very quick, funny story. I was at Sardi's once upstairs. There was a party upstairs, and I can't think of his name now. The artist did the caricatures, but that found time for the Daily News, and he saw me. He said, "Come here, come here, come here." He said, "Can I do your caricature?" They were doing it, and I said, "Well, sure." And when I finished, he said, "Dorothy, right?" I said, "I beg your pardon?" He said, "Aren't you Dorothy Loudon?" And I said,
but you said yes.
I said, "Thanks a lot."
She's one of my favorite people. I love her.
I said, "No." I said, "Put down my real name and sign it."
How funny.
So we have a million stories like that. Anyway, the crazy stories. We are, you know, to get you where you are today. And I mean, I have your schooling that you went to. Was it? You want to tell me rather than my reading it?
Yes, I was lucky to be one of the very early graduating classes from the North Carolina School of the Arts, which is in Winston-Salem.
Yes.
And I found out about it through Parade magazine. You know, that Sunday magazine?
Of course.
And I can remember the name of the article. It was Show Business Goes to School. And of course, I was already at Old Dominion University in my first freshman year down in Norfolk, Virginia I'm from. And of course, I was caught by this title. And funny, from around the country, I got 3 or 4 from friends that had seen the article would send it to me. And so I actually wrote down there, and you had to audition to get in. I drove myself down to Winston from Norfolk and got in. And I have to tell you that whenever I speak to young people who have the desire to be in the theater, I always say training, training, training. Learn, learn, learn. There's nothing worse than, and I don't mean to sound rude, but there's nothing worse than a dumb actor. You know, and we as actors need to know so much about so many things, because whatever you are is what you bring to each role you play. That's all you can bring. So I was so happy I went there for many reasons. It was a great buffer for me, being from Alexandria, Virginia. No one in show business at all in my family. No one. I didn't even come from a theater-going family. In fact, the first Broadway show my folks saw, I was in. You know, and so it was a great buffer between going from that to hitting the streets on Broadway and trying to get an agent and find a job. And I was just in New York recently, and I walked down the street and I see 21, 22-year-old guy or girl walking along by themselves in the streets, and I think, God, they have no idea how great this adventure is going to be for them. You know?
And you can spot them carrying their portfolios.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Yes, an adventure. I like that. I must use that sometimes.
And the great thing is, the internet has really just helped so many people in so many ways. Sure. It's all at your fingertips. You know, whatever you need to know.
I was thinking, in New York we used to make rounds.
Yes.
As an actor, and you go and you go. No, you don't anymore. You just send your latest picture online.
Yeah. And, there are no rounds anymore.
No, tell them what you're up to.
Yeah.
You know, please come and see me in this. And that's the important thing too, isn't it? To just work,
I think so.
showcases, whatever it is.
Yes.
When I used to do summer stock, I used to say the apprentices. I'd say, you know, sweep the stage, but listen as well what's going on around you while you're doing. That's the best experience you can have.
I think so. And you know, and I think if you really love it, you just want to be there anyway. You just want to be there.
A part of it.
Yeah.
A part of
Yeah.
it. Let's talk about auditioning and getting these roles. Well, going back then, it was a lot different than now. You know, you go on a call. Did you go to open calls? Did you ever have to do that?
I was very lucky. When I graduated from the School of the Arts, I had, in that spring, they were casting the national tour of 1776. This goes back quite a few years.
Oh my goodness.
So I was lucky enough to have a car, so I drove myself 4 or 5 times from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, to what was then called the 46th Street Theater.
Of course.
Which is now the Richard Rodgers, where they're having auditions for this national tour. I had seen it when it first opened, 1776, and fell in love with this role of Edward Rutledge. He sings "Molasses to Rum to Slaves," the Southerner. And I saw myself in that part. Visualization. Well, I got the understudy.
All right.
And I got a call about doing it, and in those days there was no per diem. Now you get a per diem. You just got a salary, and they offered me minimum.
Of course.
Which is what they should have offered me.
Yes.
And so I was in the show, but understudying this part. Well, about 3 months in to the run of the show, we were in Miami, and the fellow playing the role I was understudying took ill. The company manager says to me that night, it was a Friday night, he said, do you know the part? I hadn't even auditioned. I hadn't even rehearsed. I said, I think I do.
You didn't have Saturday rehearsals?
No, we were on the road. It didn't bother. And so the next day I was on, and the fellow was ill. He's well now. He's fine now. But this is many years ago. He never came back. And here we are, traveling around the country, and the fates were on my side.